everybody, and welcome back to the Leeds Lens. We have got some massive updates today, people. We've got some massive updates. Not all good stuff as well, unfortunately, but we've got Daniel Farke's press conference, some major quotes in there, and a huge player injured. I'm sure you've seen online, but we'll talk about it when we get to that point. We've also got an update from Demirovic as well. I said last Friday that there would be an update regarding Demirovic. Well, there has been an update regarding Demirovic, because obviously it was reported in Kicker last Friday that Leeds United had been in there, and apparently Leeds United made a £20 million bid. Well, Florian Plettenberg of Sky Germany has also confirmed that Leeds United have made a potential move for Demirovic. So we'll get into that as well at a point in the video. We're also going to talk as well a bit about Abline. I said yesterday that he's going to be a 20 million, I reckon about a £20 million price tag, potentially a bit more than that. We'll talk about that. And finally, we'll get up to it. There's a few other stories as well, which we'll just throw in all at the end so you get the full update, even though we won't go into as much detail, obviously, about them. Before we get into the video, though, you could help the channel by dropping a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It does massively help the channel. And to be honest with you, I'm blown away by the support. I genuinely can't believe it. I mean, I think yesterday's video is now over 3,000 views. I said I was going to try hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the transfer window, which is September the 1st. And I got 100 subscribers yesterday. So I'm now only, what is it, 154 subscribers away from hitting my goal. So yeah, fantastic. I genuinely can't thank you guys enough. And I'm glad you're enjoying the content if you are. And if you're not, I apologise. I guess you don't have to watch it. But yeah, that is the situation there. But yeah, let's get on with the video anyway, because I'm bored of advertising the channel. I just want to talk about the footy. And let's start with the press conference. And let's start with Ethan Ampadu, who is the player that is unfortunately injured. One thing to note with this, there was a clarification. He has done his MCL. That is the injury he's done. It's not his ACL, thank the Lord. That would have been a truly disastrous moment, because we know ACLs are about what can be 8 to 12 months. I believe, did he do his ACL last year, or was it his knee? I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, he's done his MCL, which is fantastic. I mean, thank God we beat Everton, because that Ermedin tackle was a bad one. Like, it wasn't that first tackle, it was the sort of second leg that came over the top that sort of smashed him through. And obviously, if you've seen his ankle, it was horrendous. But obviously, MCL's further up, it's obviously around the knee, I believe, isn't it? But yeah, really frustrating this, because he had such a good game. And I hate it when players have such good games and they get injured. Like, it's so annoying. Because I get the feeling from Ampadu that he wanted that. He obviously had that chance in the Premier League with Sheffield United, and I think he wanted that other chance. And obviously he came to Leeds United in the hope that we get promoted, which we have done now, and then he could play in the team. And obviously he's a captain now, and his leadership's massive for the team. But it's just, I don't know, it's just really disappointing. But that is the truth of it. And I think the next question will have to be around Ethan Ampadu. If he is going to not play until the Fulham game, which is when that's going to be, so he's going to miss the Newcastle game, the Wednesday game, which is kind of irrelevant, and obviously the Arsenal game at the weekend. Not the Wednesday game's irrelevant, but in terms of, I don't think Ampadu would have featured that in any way. But if he's going to be out, who's going to play instead? Because and they did ask Daniel Farke this, so I can tell you his comments, and then we'll discuss sort of from there what my sort of viewpoint is on it. But basically, then he got asked about Longstaff can play there, could Gruev play there, could Stack play in that role. I think what we got from it, though, is that he's going to play Gruev in there. And to be honest with you, my opinion on it is that Longstaff is more of a sort of number 8. And I think if you're going to play Longstaff in a midfield 3 with Tanaka and Stack, you can't play Longstaff as the holding 6, in my opinion. I don't think he knows how. When I've seen him for Newcastle, he's a box-to-box midfield player. He's not a number 6. So I don't think he's the correct profile to replace the attributes that we're losing in Ethan Ampadu. And I actually think, although Longstaff potentially is a better player than Ilya Gruev, I do think actually, in terms of a profile comparison, like I think the midfield worked really well. So I want to keep that dynamic and the sort of the different attributes from different players in that midfield 3. And I do actually think the person in the squad with that best dynamic, it probably is Ilya Gruev. I think it probably genuinely is. So yeah, and I don't want to move Stack out of his position because I want him to be able to go forward. I don't want to move Tanaka out of his position, which was mentioned, because of obviously his ability to go forward. And I don't really want to play Longstaff in there because I don't think he has the discipline and understanding of how to play that role. People might disagree on that, but that's just my opinion. So I would actually play Ilya Gruev. That people won't like that. I know this is, but that's my opinion. And I actually think that's what Daniel Farke is going to do as well. I think he will stick with that 3. I think he'll stick with the works, but I think it will be Ilya Gurev that plays instead. Now, moving on to some other news from the press conference. We'll do transfers, and then we'll talk about the impact of Okafor and DCL. So yeah, transfers. Daniel Farke did get asked quite a bit about transfers finally, because I think last week he didn't even get asked about James Justin, which was ridiculous. But obviously these things can happen. I don't blame the journalists as such, but as I said, these things can happen. But this week they were quite big on transfers. They basically asked what positions next is it going to be for Leeds United. They basically said that, or Daniel Farke basically said that a fullback will be incoming, and I do think we are definitely going to get a fullback from what I've heard. Also, as well with the fullback, James Justin was mentioned, obviously, from Marty Fuentes in his press conference today for Leicester City, and he said that the injury that Justin sustained was only a dead leg, and he actually is available to play for Leicester this weekend. So that move is on for me. I actually think we're going to sign James Justin, to be honest. I said that when we were linked to him. I think the deal makes complete sense, and I think we will get it over the line. I potentially should have upgraded that from a 3 to a 4, now I think about it. But there we are. I do think we'll get James Justin over the line. And Daniel Farke seemed I think he seemed really optimistic that we'll get a fullback, and I think that will probably be Justin. And then in terms of the offensive sort of players, or the defensive transfer news, he did say that Leeds United will get probably 1, potentially even 2. So I think we can definitely expect 1 more body. He talked quite a bit about it being a hybrid sort of winger / number 10. El Khanous is now an option again. Oh no, the El Khanous saga. He is an option actually, because the news there is that, I mean, I'm floating from story to story here a bit, but yeah, the news with El Khanous is that actually Crystal Palace are not going there, and they're going for a guy called Pino from Villarreal, who played obviously against us in pre-season. So that is potentially an option again for us. But he did say that that's the sort of position they're going for, and it would either be a winger / number 10 ideally, as the one that they go for. As the I think that'll be potentially a statement sign as well. So that's something to bear in mind. And there is options available. There's Bakwa, who I've said we should throw the kitchen sink at in yesterday's video, which I do still agree with. I think that's what we should do. And there's obviously Nico Gonzalez that's still knocking about. He ain't gone anywhere yet. I know Atletico have been interested, but that hasn't materialised as at the moment. So there is options there. There is options, and there will be other players as well that I've not sort of named there that we can go get. So yeah, I'm still of the opinion though that we should go get a right winger. I think that's where that is the position we need the most of all of them. But I'm optimistic in terms of I think we will get more bodies in, definitely. I think the fullback sounds like it definitely happen, and obviously I think we will definitely get 1, if not 2. Hopefully we get 2, because I think it'd be ideal to get a striker and a winger personally, and just stick with the midfield we've got. But it sounds like we'll probably target a number 10 before a striker or a winger. So there you are. But yeah, that is the news in terms of that. He also talked a bit, which I thought was interesting, because we've mentioned this on the show a few times in the last few days, about Leeds United's transfer strategy this window, and around injuries and signing players that were injured. He basically said that, in a roundabout way, that Leeds United have gone for the next echelon player, but we can't sign the next echelon player if everything's perfect scenario, because they'll probably have a better club on the table. That is basically what he said. Like he said with DCL, if DCL didn't have the injury record that he has, he probably wouldn't have been a free transfer and probably would have gone to a higher team. The reason we were able to get him is because he wasn't that. Now, people are not going to like that, but I understand that in terms of that's where Leeds United are in the pyramid at the moment. I get that. But and then he went on to say sort of like, we've had this before, and we've taken calculated risks before with players. Like, and then he referenced Solomon, he referenced Byram, he referenced Junior Firpo's in record before he came in, and there is something in this. Like, we obviously changed. It was Rob Price, who was in charge of the sort of the medical team. He obviously got sacked, and since I don't know who the new guy that's coming is. But we have seen a vast improvement in terms of our injuries at Leeds United. That is undeniable. Now that could be just luck, or it could be that we're doing a better job. That could be the case. And no shade on Rob Price. I think he obviously must have done a good job. He was there for years. But yeah, since he has left, there has been a vast improvement in our ability to deal with injured players, and potentially that's down to the way we're training them as well. I think Daniel Farke has got a better record than the likes of a Bielsa or a Marsh at keeping players fit. So yeah, he basically said that we have targeted players that have got an injury record, because you'll better get them on a better price point, and also they will come to Leeds United, and if they don't get injured, like Solomon didn't really last year, I know he got injured a couple of times, but nothing major. you can have a real good calculated risk and a really good upside to it. And obviously that's what we've done again this summer. Like we did it a bit last summer with Byram was the year before, obviously, but we did it and we kept Firpo fit, and obviously we went there with Solomon. But we're gonna do it again, and obviously we are doing it again with DCL, Okafor, and is there another one? I can't even think. There might be one more that we bought that's got an injury record as well. And Nemetra, of course, yeah. So yeah, I think that's something to bear in mind. I think that has clearly. I mean, I've literally mentioned this on the channel that I bet this is what Leeds United are doing, and it has turned out that is the case. So yeah, call me Mystic Mac or what? I mean, it is what it is. No, I'm joking. But yeah, that is the situation regarding his press conference. Let's move on anyway. There was loads more quotes, but I'm not really interested in anything else. He talked about how we're going to play against Arsenal. I don't really like previews, to be honest. I probably won't do them on this channel. But yeah, moving on anyway to Demirovic. Probably a story that a lot of you are interested in. I know I am myself, because I really like the player. But anyway, this morning, Florian Plettenberg tweeted out saying that Leeds United and Nottingham Forest have both basically to look out for what's going on with Demirovic, because Leeds United and Nottingham Forest have both made inquiries into the situation with Demirovic at Stuttgart and have made inquiries basically, and put an inquiry on the table as well. So I think it sounds like we've tabled an offer potentially. We've offered a packet to Demirovic as well. Interesting, because I think potentially that this was probably something we've done in the past, and not now. Like I think it's potentially the same with Forest. Like I can't see Forest going after buying Callum Owendo and going and buying Demirovic as well. And I think potentially the same could be said for Leeds United. I know Demirovic can play on that right hand side, I believe, as well. So potentially that there's something in this, but my feeling is that this is no go. I remember when reading the Kicker report on Friday, and it suggested in the Kicker report that Leeds United were around about the sort of €20 million point, and obviously Stuttgart were around about the 40. So I still don't maintain that this isn't a goer. In terms of the player, though, I think he would be a really good addition for Leeds. Unbelievable finisher. I mean, I think he's got more goals, or an equal amount of goals as Ekatike last year in the Bundesliga. So he's absolutely no mug. He got 15 goals in sort of 20, I think about 20 starts last year in 34 games. And he banged 15 goals the year before as well. So as I said, he's a player with real not potential. He's performing on potential, but a real caliber. Great finisher, and it would be a really, really probably statement and an exciting signing for Leeds United. I just don't think it's going to happen, though, is my feeling. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're way off in terms of sort of fees that we're willing to pay. And I also feel, and again, we've heard it from Daniel Farke's mouth this morning, it doesn't sound like a striker's going to happen. So there you are. That is the story anyway regarding Demirovic. And finally, the final story of today is about Abline, or Abline, however you want to say it. So the story there obviously was yesterday that Court Offside had suggested that Leeds United were linked to him, and we obviously had a real interest in this sort of the Nantes French striker, 22 years old as well. And I sort of said in my video I thought it would be around £20 million for him. Based on his sort of record, I haven't seen loads of him, and I said that in last year's video. I don't know loads about him in truth, but they're actually wanting 34.5 million. Apparently, that's what's been reported today. There's no way that's happening. We are not going to pay 35 million quid for a lad who scored 9 goals in the French league. And I know he's 22, and I know there is room for improvement in the player. And whenever anymore, there definitely is room for improvement in the player. But when you look at the sort of strategy that Leeds United have done so far this window, we aren't spending massive on sort of younger players without proven records over a number of years. We're not doing that. So and again, from what Farke said in his press conference, it's just a no-go. I think Abline now, he could almost take off the signing scale now. I do not think that one is going to happen. And he also said with the strikers, because one thing I probably should have mentioned with the reason why Demirovic will happen, and with DCL Okafor situation, that look, he said that in the strike situation now we've got Okafor who can play up there, we've got Nemetra who can play up front, we've got Calvert-Lewin who can play up front, and we've got Pro. We've got 4 now players that can play, 3 strikers in Calvert-Lewin, Nemetra, and Pro, and we've also got Okafor if they're all injured as well. So he was basically saying, yes, all right, they could be injured, these players, but it'd be unlikely that all of them are injured all at the same time. And I think he's right on that. I think there's something in that. So So yeah, but the only thing I've got with the sort of strike situation is it's all good having strikers, but they're all our strikers different profiles, and that's fantastic if you want to be a team that's tactically flexible and a team that wants to adapt the game plans at all times. But when you've got such a wide range of talent, if one of them is out injured, say DCL's out injured, well, if we then have to throw, I don't know, Perot up front, the way you'd play for Perot compared to DCL is light years different. With Perot, you want him to drop deep, get the ball out wide, and then you want a Stack or a Tanaka running from midfield to sort of vacate that space and to be able to get on the end of crosses when the ball goes out wide and comes in. With Calvert-Lewin, it's the complete opposite. He ain't going to drop in at all. You've got to get the ball out without touching the number 9. And then Calvert-Lewin is going to be in the box ready to head the ball in. Completely different to Perot. And that's just a microcosm of the different play styles throughout the game. So it's all, as I said, it's all good having all these sort of striker options, which we do have. But when a lot of them are injury prone, which even Farke himself said, we're going to have to change our style and how we attack week in, week out. So how do you build any consistency to your game? How do you build any sort of relationships with each individual player in your game? How do you build any sort of like patterns of play in the attacking third? And when he passes there, he moves there. If you're constantly playing a different style in the attacking third. So yes, it'll make Leeds United unpredictable, but it'll also make it unpredictable to our players as well. So yes, I don't think we're going to have an issue where Harry Gray's lined up for Leeds United up front or we're putting Nantes up front. But I do still think we might have an issue where we're going to constantly have to adapt the style of play to whoever's fit up front. And that I don't like, if I'm being totally honest. I don't like that. I think that could be a con for us. But that's the way we're going to roll. And hopefully the medical staff, like they did with Solomon and like you mentioned with Byram and like you mentioned with Firpo, can keep these lads fit. Because if they do keep them fit, and I mean, everybody said this. Like I didn't like the Calvert-Lewin sign, as you all know. And I obviously did a video about it saying I didn't like it. But if you keep him fit, he's a good player. And it's the same with Okafor, and it's potentially the same with Nemecha as well. I mean, Farke mentioned in his presser again that Nemecha has been in the German national team, so he can't be that much of a mug, can he? And I'm not saying he is. I think he's a good player in his own right. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, my only worry is that it's the different styles constantly, and us constantly having to change depending on who's fit. But let's hope they can do a good job and keep these lads fit, because if they do keep Calvert-Lewin fit and he scores sort of like 10 to 12 goals, it'll be an outstanding addition for Leeds. It really will. And also, as well as that, we're going to make a fortune on him, because if Calvert-Lewin goes and scores 10 to 12 goals next year, his value will go through the roof. Like it'll instantly be worth probably 25 to 30 million pound player instantaneously, which is crazy good considering you bought him for nothing. So, you know, these are good things to bear in mind, because he could be a PSR sale for us next year if we do stay in the division, which is brilliant news. But yeah, anyway, that is the video for today. Less updates than usual, but some massive stories. When you've got a Daniel Farke press conference and you get really good questions like the journalist did today, you do get a lot of really good stories out of it, and I think we have. And I think there's been quite a bit to talk about today, regardless if that's why I waited for the press conference to happen, because they just want enough going on beforehand. But yeah, thanks all for watching as always, and I will catch you on the next one. Yeah, thanks all for watching, and bye for now. Bye for